Supplies that you need to do a basic book binding project. You need an awl to punch hole. Definitely you need a bone folder. This is usually made of cow bone to score and also to cut paper with. You need a box cutter, some book binding string, needles for book binding, a stiff Bristol brush to paint your glue on. So the glue is PVA, and this is the glue that you should get for book binding. The components of a book. There is the body of the book. This is pre-bind. Then after you have the body, you need to attach a mesh so that the spine are all connected and become one unit. Next, you need end paper. This is between the body of the book and the case, which is the cover, so that it will be a piece in the front and a piece in the back like this. And next, you will need 2 hard stock, some sort of cardstock for the cover. And of course, there is the cover itself. It could be leather or cloth. This is a book cloth. And you'll put the 2 cardboard on the back of the cloth, and then you bind them, and then you make a cover. After that, you'll insert this portion in between, and then it will be all wrapped together, and hopefully you can imagine that this will be a book. All right, let's talk about binding. This is the most complicated part. So I'll draw some pictures to show you how this is being bound, and I have another example here that hopefully will illustrate the idea. So when you have a signature like this coming in, and this will be the first signature, the first one is the last one. So imagine this will be your book, this will be your cover, back cover. I'm taking out the cover, and that's the back cover. You start stitching as the last one. So you start on the last piece, and then you build on top of each other. So this is the last signature. And let's say we have one hole here. This will be our link stitch. And then we're going to have 2 more holes on each side. That will be the connecting of the leather strap or the binding twine. So first you will need to, well, we don't have a sewing station. Just I do it all, freestyle. Imagine the little cotton strip is here. I'm just going to draw this end. That will be this type of material here. So the needles goes in, and it comes up and is holding that strip of linen material here. And then you come out this way, hold it again, and then you come back out over here. Right, so this is the way the stitching is. And next, you're going to add another layer on top. Another signature. And here you make the same hole from a template, hopefully, so that they're all going to be lined up. And you go in, and then you come out, and you go in here, and you come out here, and it goes in here, and it come back out here. So it's going this way now. So first you go that way, and now you go back this way. And then when it comes back out, and you come back out like here, you need to do the link. So the first one is not the link, it's actually tying the knot. So the loose end here has to be tied together with the string that coming out from here. The third one over here, you will start to do the stitching, the linking. So when you go back inside and do the looping, and when you come back out here, you need to hook under. You need to hook under and go back in, because that will connect all the different signature together. That's the way you do it. Then they're all connected on the side, the top and the bottom, and this piece is holding it in the middle. And then once this is done, it has to be glued by the PVA glue that I showed you. Gluing. So this is the spine, and we're going to glue them together, and make sure you have two plywood and some clamp to work with if you don't have a professional bookbinding work stand. And we're just going to glue everything shut. Make sure the glue goes into the tiny groove between the signatures. And when this is done or dry, we're going to attach the mesh over it. So we'll come back for part 2. We're going to do the last part of the spine gluing, and this is the book mesh. And we're just going to place on top of the spine, and then we're just going to put a lot of glue from the top, and it will seep through the mesh, and hopefully it will bite with the rest of the glue and stay in place. And you need to use some force and push the glue through the mesh so that it can stick and adhere and have a strong bond between those two materials. That looks pretty good. And now we can even cap it off with a strip of very thin rice paper for extra protection. Now I can use my clean hand to press firmly onto the spine. Make sure that every part of it has a contact. There you go. Remember that before industrial revolution, people used to buy book like this unbound, right? It's just the body of the book where the bookseller is gonna sell it to you like this format, and then you can go to a bookbinder and make your own cover. I think it's kind of cool because then all your books will have the same look. It will be consistent in some way, and you can customize it with your mammogram or your crest, whatever that people used to do. But so right now we're going to bind this into the case, the cover. And what I did is that I usually eye it without measuring it. So I usually just wrap the whole thing together and get a rough idea of where everything will fall. And I open it back up. I make a mark here so that I know when I glue this, when I put glue onto the cardboard, and then I can place it at the perfect spot. And then I judge it again. It should go, if you look closely, you can see the board is a little bit back from the spine. Same with this one. And I think this is the measurement that I'll get. There'll be room for the little strip of spine on the side there. Yeah, so this is about it. This is what I will get, and I will just take this off, make sure that they're aligned. I'll draw some guide marks here. And I can start gluing this piece. This is the tiny piece that will be glued here as the spine. I think I need a little trim in the end. There you go. And then we're just going to wait for it to dry, and then we'll fold the corner in. Okay, now it's gluing the edges of the cover in, and I'm gonna apply glue on the top. Make sure the side of the thickness of the card is being applied, the glue, and then you just fold it in. Go to the bottom side. So this one, you need to take care of the corners. I'm gonna fold the corner in a little bit, push it in. Same with it. Again, taking care of the corners. And then you push it in. Making sure your work surface is always clean. And now you have the cover. The next things to do is to match this with the book. I think this is it. And we'll have a book very soon. I make a little protective slip like this with some plastic covers or plastic, any plastic that you can find will be fine. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put a bunch of glue onto the mesh. We can fix it later, but this is to hold it. That's what I'm trying to do, to get it to hold, adhere to the cover for now. So I have a bunch of glue here, and that's the cover. And I'm just going to put it in, making sure that the space at the bottom and the top is similar, and I have enough space on the edge. This all looks pretty good, and then I'm going to clamp it. And this hopefully will secure the two components together, and it will adhere to each other. This is our book right now, and the mesh and the linen strip is pasted in, and now we're going to do the end paper. So we're going to glue this up. Here we want to overlap a little bit over to the center point, because the first page is going to get glued in with this end paper. So I'm just overlapping a little bit from the center point and try to get all this loose bristle out of the way. So now you just have to put it in. Hopefully it's in place. If not, you can use a bone folder to push it in. Push it into the center and check. Maybe this piece needs to be a bit more. You can use a rag to rub it a little bit, not too much because the paper is wet and you might tear it, but just make sure that they are secure. And now you have one side done, and then we're going to check on the back, make sure everything looks good. So sometimes you need to trim the end paper a little bit. Yeah, I think I need a little trim here. All right, check it again. Now it's pretty good. I'm going to glue that on. Let's say this side. Overlapping a little bit over the center fold of the paper. goes this way. Just place it in. Make sure it sits tight to the spine. It's pretty good. There you go. I think our book is done. And the main thing is that the spine should be free, right? It's not glued to this piece. It should be, you should see through the little hole there. Sample of books that I have made. This is a Coptic stitch vocabulary book that I have, and this is all English words that I found interesting and trying to learn them. And this is called Coptic stitch because the spine is exposed. This is also another small book with some sort of medieval looking spine where the ladder joining twine is sort of like protruded from the book itself and is joined outside and into the cover itself. And I converted my ink swatch, my fountain pen ink swatch into a book. It used to be just on a ring bind like this, individual cardstock, that I think I wanted it into a book because I will keep a book longer than just loose, cards that I might thrown out or, not being so useful for me. But now this is a book and it looks nice on the shelf. And this is also a long book that I did from rescue leather from my desert boots. And you can see that it is just glue on to the leather itself. And this is the heel of the boots. This is my another book that I did from the recycled leather that I rescued from an old sofa. And the paper is a type of handmade paper from India, I believe. And this is my spiritual book, some sort of ideas that I have in my study of spirituality and religion. I just wrote them down here. So this is my spiritual book. There's another small book that is, I haven't found a usage for it yet, but it's going to be used. And this is made out of some sort of yellowish beige paper. This type of binding is called long stitch, meaning that a spine the spine is part of the cover. So the cover itself became the spine, and it can be very pretty because you can design this how the binding, how the stitching is going to be, and people done amazing type of various stitching on them. And I place a tab over it, and hopefully this will be something useful one day. And this is called a long stitch, and it's made of leather that I found from another project some times ago. An extra small book. This is the idea where you can recycle paper scrap and things that usually you throw out from a bigger project. So these are tiny paper cuttings and things that you no longer need, and usually we just throw it in the recycle bin. But these are still very useful material, and the paper are good paper, so you want to save this, right? So one of the project that I did is to make an extra small book. And an extra small book is this. I save up all the scrapping, little tiny pieces of materials. And this is actually starting off an extra small book. So this is the body of the book itself, which consists of the signatures, the end paper. Hopefully you can see there's one in the front and one in the back. Then this will be the cover. And this will be the material for the cover. It will have a paper cover and a leather spine. So the spine will go here. And this will be a book one day. And of course, in sewing a book, you need a template. So this is my sewing template. And in the extra small book, I have some sample to shows you. And this is my little collection, tiny books that I have done. This is a leather that I saved from an old sofa, and someone else gave me this suede leather. And I make also book cover out of a wooden ruler. So this is all very, you can use any material that you can find in the house. And I use this to learn new vocabulary. So I'm in the process of learning Sanskrit, and this is Devanagari script. And I've been using my own homemade walnut ink as the writing liquid. So this is my little vocabulary exercise book that I could bring out anywhere and do a quick revision and study. So these are colors. So it's kind of a handy, cute little books.